up to Shiloh under the leadership of one of the great leaders in all of the black church. A sister who holds down the tradition of the powerful, liberating preaching of the black church and activism of the black church. And Salvation and Social Justice just gave her an award on Thursday night. This is fresh off the presses. Would y'all give it up for the pastor of this great church, the Reverend Dr. Danielle Brown, to come and greet us, welcome us, open us in prayer.
We've been here since 6:30. I guess the batteries in my mic were out. But let's give it up for Pastor Boyer. I just want to simply welcome you to Shiloh Baptist Church and just reinforce that these conversations are so critical for us, for our people, because New Jersey is full of promise. But the way that we turn promise into progress is to keep having these conversations and make sure that we are equipping our people with the language and the information that is necessary so that we can move forward. And so I celebrate all of you. I celebrate all of the panelists. I hope that y'all feel right at home here in Shiloh and enjoy the conversation. I hope and my prayer is that this meeting will spark something, an even greater sense of urgency in all of us for the things that our state needs to do moving forward. Did you want me to pray? Okay, no problem. I got that. Let's do it. Let us pray. God Almighty, thank you so much for this time that we are sharing together. Lord, I pray in these moments for our state. I pray, Lord God, that you would have your way. I pray that you would lift up what needs to be lifted up and that you would tear down what needs to be torn down. God, I thank you for the prophetic witness of salvation and social justice, for the prophetic witness of the panelists today, the prophetic witness of these who gathered. And Lord, I ask that you would breathe on all of our efforts, that we would be agents of transformation, that we would tear the enemy's kingdom down, and that anything, Lord God, that does not result in the uplift, elevation, and betterment of your people would not reign in this state or in this nation. So, Lord, we ask that you have your way, and we pray this prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Have a great time.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you so much. And where did our panelists go? Yeah, Ryan Haywood. We need a spot for Ryan Haywood. Can y'all give it up to the one and only? All right. Very quickly, sisters and brothers, just want to frame out how we got here. Under the leadership of Mayor Baraka, we have been going all throughout the state in black churches, meeting with community members to discuss and get input around a statewide black agenda. Turn to your neighbor, say neighbor. Neighbor. Statewide. 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 Black agenda. Black agenda. And because of that vision, Sisters and Brothers Salvation and Social Justice has been supporting that to open up the communications channel so that we can actually have a feedback loop and actually develop an organized, actionable agenda as a result of these discussions. Organized, actionable agenda. That is the key. Because sisters and brothers, frankly, we have all been in these kind of forums our whole lives, and we do a whole say a whole bunch of stuff, but it never reaches outside the doors. And so the key is being organized, meaning that we use our collective power and we also use our collective intelligence to pull together an agenda and also use our collective power to advocate for that agenda. Part of that is exercising our power at the ballot box. Because let me be clear, if we don't show up at the ballot box, the policy makers have no reason to pay attention to your agenda. So we cannot go around and talking about what this one and that one isn't doing. If folks are not doing something, it has more to do with us than it does with them. People ignore us because they know they can. If we make it impossible for them to ignore us, it's a different situation. If they still ignore us, even though we are exercising our political power, there's a remedy for that too. Malcolm X called it the ballot or the bullet. America comes into being because they had to use the bullet option. The Revolutionary War is a matter where representation did not work. Therefore, violent action had to take place. I need y'all to understand, I'm a preacher, and this ain't on Shiloh, I'm a preacher, but I'm not from the Martin King side of the aisle. I'm an AME. I'm from the Denmark VC side. Okay? Jesus said, I came not to bring peace, but a sword. We do everything we can to exercise our rights. Sisters and brothers, I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but our ancestors fought, died for us to have the right to vote. And if we don't utilize that, we spit on the graves of our ancestors. And so I'm at the point, having done this work for quite some time, that it's important to me, and in the analysis of it all, to spread the word. We can't always control what others do, but we can control ourselves. So let's exercise our power in the fullness of it, and then we can move forward. So with all that, that's what gives us this agenda which you all have in your hands. That's how we got here. The purpose is to move things from the transition all the way through. I am happy to report these meetings that were taking place prior to the general election. I was a little nervous because we were talking good, but if we did not show up, we would have been in a bad space. But glory be to God. We showed up in very large numbers. And because we showed up in very large numbers, that means we brought a ticket, and in exchange for the ticket, we're supposed to get something. Right. All right? So that's what this is all about. That's what this agenda is about. That's what this work is about. The last piece that I'm going to say here, as we begin to move these things, Mayor Barack is going to do the best he can. I'm going to do the best I can. But this agenda is not Barack's agenda, and it's not Boyer's agenda. It is a statewide black agenda. submitted policy. We're going to take and focus on the things that already have been submitted and push there, and during this time work for these new items that are being submitted now to enhance the agenda in the next year or so. Does that make sense to everybody in terms of process? All right. So when you look at this, we're already too deep into the transition. If you ain't been named to the transition at this point, you probably ain't going to be named. So that is already moved along. We have seen some progress on it. One of our very own, Ryan Haygood, is on the transition team. Amen? Amen. If there's anybody in the house who's on the transition team, raise your Mayor Baraka is on the transition team. Amen. Mayor Matt is on the transition team. Amen. Aren't you a part of that local government? So we got folks on the transition team. So we are moving. Raquel, that was out at the table, is on the transition team. Amen? So we are moving the agenda forward. Okay? So as you see in there are things we're asking for the first 100 days, which you all can see about convening a biannual meeting. So we have a checkpoint. So that we have a checkpoint in terms of our agenda items. So this is how we're setting up a structure in order to hold this administration accountable to the vote we gave in the agenda in which we have put forward. Okay? So with all that, sisters and brothers, and you can read the agenda for yourselves. We're not going to take all kinds of time there. But what I would like to do at this time is get right into our discussion. I want to give it up to all of you because you all have been very engaged. There were a lot of questions submitted. So we want to get right into the discussion. And this discussion focusing around various items that are on the agenda, but highlighting specifically the items that you all raised in the questions that you submitted. But quickly, on the agenda, we're looking to address issues in advanced policy around Black maternal health, around the issues on education, around environmental justice issues, civic engagement issues, housing issues, LGBTQIA protections, mental health, public safety, economic equity, and health care. And these issues come to be based off of people around the state having some actionable items to move forward with. So sisters and brothers, at this time I would like to introduce who we all affectionately call the Governor of Black New Jersey. Amen. My name is the Governor of all of New Jersey, and we congratulate her. But Mayor Baraka, in his historic primary run, amen, has helped galvanize voters who were previously not showing up. And so I believe if we all stay unified, we'll get somewhere. And so I'm going to ask the Governor of Black New Jersey to come, give some remarks, and to introduce this magnificent panel, which includes Mayor Adrian Matt, the mayor of the greatest city. My family's from Plainfield. Can I get an amen? The greatest city in New Jersey, and Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, which is fighting a good fight. Congresswoman, she's not here yet, but Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, Assemblywoman, my Assemblywoman, Melina Reynolds Jackson, Ryan P. Haygood, President and CEO of the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, Imam Umar Shuladeen, my good friend, is here with us, and the one and only New Jersey's greatest Black businessman, John
viral. We need to make this go viral. We need to pass this out in all of our churches, all of our masjid and mosques, all of our fraternities, sorority meetings. We pass this out, whatever you are part of, Jack and Jill, Boulay, whatever you want. We want all this stuff. We need to be passing this out. And I'm under no illusion that everybody is going to agree on every single item on this list because we know how we are. But we need to agree generally that this is the direction that we're going in and that anything that you're saying that we need is found on this document. And you should be turning this in and talking to people about it so it becomes the talk of the state. That we have a black agenda. Because usually what happens is we have black politicians, but not a black agenda. There's a difference. And so, because you can have a black politician without a black agenda. But if you have a black agenda, then, that comes before the black politician, right? And so it's important because what's happening is that we are cannibalizing each other in our communities. All over the country and all over down the state, we're cannibalizing each other, ripping each other apart, little by little, for title and a spot at somebody else's table. And we are doing it so ferociously and viciously that it's difficult that after the thing is over, that we can ever sit down and have collective conversation again. Because we get so ambitious. It ain't nothing wrong with ambition. We want the position, right, more than we want progress. I just have to say that. I mean, that's how I feel, But watching what's going on around the state and around the country, I know that's happening, because we refuse to get together. Almost allergic to it. And so that has to change. And that's the first question I'm going to pose to them when we get to that about how do we build this movement, because ultimately none of this matters unless we can build a movement. We have to be able to build a movement around the black agenda. Not around me, around the black agenda. Around the black agenda. I don't know what I'm going to be. You understand? I thank God every day I get up and able to breathe air and make new mistakes. I'm not sure what the next minute is going to bring. Never mind 4 years from now. So our building has to be around a black agenda, not around Mayor Barack. Right? And when we do that, then it gives everybody an opportunity to weigh in and be a part of what we're doing in a collective sense. That's what we need to get away from, right? And so the last couple of things I want to say is that God showed us over and over and over again. So this idea that we need to show up, we always show up. We just don't get done after the dance is over. Right? We go to the dance, we just don't get anything when it's finished. You've shown us we can win, but we still scared. We still scared. He showed us you can win with $6 billion versus $40 million. You can win.
That's right.
He showed you over and over again. You can win, but you're still scared.
Amen.
Still scared. I ran into a person that said, I voted for the other person in the election because I was with you, but my son voted for you, but I didn't do it because I thought it was going to be a waste of a vote. They had the nerve to say it to me. I appreciated it when they said it to me. And I said, that's all right. That's our thinking. That's our mentality. We don't want to take the risk. us, that what they say, no cross, no crown. At the end of the day, you gotta take a risk. If you don't take a risk, you can't win. And so our folks are scared of losing. Which don't make any sense to me because we've been losing for some time. We're scared of losing, but if you're scared of losing, you're never gonna win. See the irony of that is if you don't take the shot, you can't score. That's really what the irony of that is. So this is what we're doing here today, trying to put together this black agenda for us and get it out there. So we have an incredible panel that Reverend William already introduced, so I don't have to lay into that. I'll start with these questions. We had some questions that were sent to us. And by the way, this black agenda didn't come from my head or Reverend Boyer's head or the panel's head. It came from community folks who sent in questions, responded to his answers, or they got up at the meeting and said, I don't see that on that agenda. And we went back and revised it again and again and again until we came up with something that we think generally represents most of our concerns as black people throughout the state. I'm okay with having an agenda that represents black people. I know some of you might be nervous, but I'm okay with black. God made me black on purpose. He didn't make no mistake. He made me black from the thickness of my lips, my nose, when I had hair, the curliness, and getting it up. My dark skin, I like what I see in the mirror and that I get brown under the sun. It is okay for us to be black. It is okay to have an agenda that represents black people. It does not mean you against other people because you have a black agenda. Don't let people tell you that. It's not true. All the other agenda, there's another agenda that's going to have to call it a white agenda, but it's your one. The disparity study tells you there's one. I'm okay with having a black agenda, so don't get nervous, because I know you got that on tape. So we want to begin. I'm going to open it up to everybody. Just a general question is, what can we do statewide to build around this agenda, to build a movement? What do we have to do? Some practical things, and even some theoretical things that we need to do around bringing our folks together. I had a conversation before we started about southern black folks in New Jersey, and northern black folks in New Jersey, and the chasm between the two, and how do we bring these folks together so there is no space in between us. So anybody can jump in.
Well, let me start. I want to thank all of the organizers for putting us together. The leadership at this table in this room, you are the leaders, you are the message carriers of all the work that we're trying to do. And I love the question because, you know, we often think that these things just come out of the sky. These that I was telling Brian, you know, these are lived experiences. We don't make this stuff up. It comes because it's something happened to someone and we are trying to respond and making sure that we are a protected community as well. So we got to continue to elevate these issues that we have. We have to take it back. And I love all my social media people, but that's not it. It's these conversations, it's face-to-face, it's talking about it, it's going to your churches, it's going to your groups, it's going to people that you know to say, did you know that this exists? Did you know that we're still fighting for the voting rights here in the state? Did you know that they moved polling places to police stations? Did you know? So you have to continue to have these conversations when we talk about elevation and how do we come together. It's about taking this work and taking it outside. This is just the meeting place. The working happens outside these doors. And talk to people that don't look like you sometimes, right? Well, it's not just us. We may be on message. We have to get you on message, but you have to share the information. And I say that sharing intentionally about trying to get these bills passed and about elevating the concerns of our black agenda. Talk about it. Say their names. All of these things. When we talk about missing black women, we have to talk about it. The importance of having a good attorney general. What is that supposed to look like for us? Talk about it. Talk about these issues that are in our community specifically. And I'm gonna push pause and leave it there for somebody else to answer. But those are what we need to do.
I'll add to that. I'm just delighted to be here and grateful to be here. I'm not on the transition team. I'm just going to put that out there because a lot of folks, I'm not on the team, but that's all right. Every day I wake up, I think about the 1.2 million blacks in New Jersey and the 124,000 black businesses in New Jersey. And I think about every area where we're at the bottom. Highest poverty, highest unemployment, low net worth, 17,000 versus 322,000 for whites. And Ryan may have a better number than me, but that number's bad enough. I think about that. And I think about $11 billion that we spend as taxpayers on a disparity study that spoke to what the state purchases in terms of goods and services, construction, professional services. And out of $11 billion that was spent, we got $3.3 million. And that was worthy of a bullet, right, versus just conversation. And so specifically what we plan to do at the African American Chamber of Commerce is embrace this black agenda and drive the economic tenets of it to the fullest, right? The disparity study, we must address that day one after inauguration. We have to be aligned, our legislators have to get in alignment with best practices. New York State, New York City, Mayor Adams, in 4 years, delivered $24 billion in public contracts to minorities and women. In 4 years, and this is a guy that's under a cloud, so to speak. The state of New York did north of $3 billion in annual spend with minorities and women. So I'm on the committee for Mayor Adams in New York. The trades are at the table with minority and women-owned businesses, and we are all in agreement. New Jersey behaves like Mississippi when it comes to public contracting, and we don't talk about it. So we have to be in alignment on the legislative agenda around best practices that help black people. The chamber that I've run for the last 18 and a half years, we're going to have more networking events that are free and open to the public, because you need to be a part of these conversations and then consider being a member, but we need to do better at making you informed of what's going on. And I'll close on this. I agree with everything that Ras Baraka said in this opening, but as a business person, we gave 94 to 95% of our vote for this candidate who's now, and give Mikey Cheryl and Dr. Caldwell a round of applause. They won. They're our leaders. But this time around, because we did it last time, if I'm in a business deal and I put 95% of the money in the deal, I can call the shot. We put 94% of the money in the last deal, and the disparity study says that we got about $1,000 return. We can't do that this time, right? Reciprocity must be at the top of the agenda. We have the talent, we have the ability, we have the history. It is now time to get paid. Thank you.
So I think it's important for all of us to recognize that everything that impacts the black community in North Jersey impacts the black community in Central Jersey, in South Jersey. So the issues that impact us, that affect us, are all the same regardless of which part of the state we hail from. And we have been suffering generation after generation from the inequities in the system that keep us in our place. And so we have to find a way to move from generational poverty to generational wealth. We have to find a way to move from generational welfare to aspirational growth. And to move also from the working class to the middle class. And there are a plethora of ways that we can do in order to move us out of those categories to the places that we ought to be. And it's about health care for all of our people. It's about providing women with the care that they need so that they can raise their babies and their families. It's about providing opportunities when it comes to economic empowerment, to employment. It's about providing housing for people who don't have housing. And we have to find a way to just do these things, and we can. But we must be serious, and we must make sure that we advocate and that we let the powers that be, we let the State House know, we let our folks in Washington know that we need and we deserve better. And when you look at the fact that the Obamacare subsidies are supposed to expire the end of this month, just think of what that is going to do to the almost 500,000 people in New Jersey who are at risk of losing their insurance. And you know how that's going to impact the people in our communities. And so, you know, the lie that is being peddled in terms of getting rid of these subsidies, all health insurance, whether you're working for a private corporation, for a governmental entity, all health insurance is subsidized by the federal government. Because when you get insurance on your job, if you're working from work, whatever private entity, that health insurance is subsidized because they get to write it off on their taxes. You know, Medicare and Medicaid, paid for by the federal government. So, to get rid of subsidies under the Obamacare that is going to prevent our people in our community from having the health care that they need is a crime. And we can't allow that to happen. As a people, we have to coalesce. And we have to put the pressure where we need to in order that we can protect and advance the Black agenda.
So first of all, good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, especially after the general election. We're still here, still going, still pushing forward, and I'm happy about that because that is what the goal of this all was in the first place, for us to keep pushing. I want to bring greetings on behalf of Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, who is not here today, but I'm here today. And where I am, she is, and where she is, I am. And so I want to make sure that we lift her up even in her absence. We have a lot of events happening today, so we're splitting duties this Saturday. But I want to circle back to Mayor Baraka's question. One, we need to educate our people. That's why these meetings are so important. We come here not just to, complain or talk about what's important all the time, but to educate. Because as I travel through New Jersey, through my district, and across the country, many people that look like us don't understand what is happening. Mayor Mack just spent time talking about the ACA credits that are going to expire in 2 weeks. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people in your family don't know that. Your children, grown children, don't know that. Your cousins don't know that. And so we have to educate people and inform them of how these policies, why this agenda that Mayor Baraka talked about, why it's important and how it impacts their day-to-day lives. And that's all of our jobs. That's our jobs on this panel. It's your job. We have to do that. We can't talk about bringing people into a unity fold if they don't understand what is happening. That's why they're so disengaged sometimes. They're like, they ain't got nothing to do with me, and it got all to do with them. And so we have to continue to be having meetings like this and create more dialogues to be able to educate people about what is happening and why these issues they are important to them and why they should care about them. So that's number one. We have to do that. And then secondly, we have to continue to be unified. We got to bring people into the fold. We got to be strategic in this time and moment more than ever. We can't do things the way that we used to do. We have to be strategic about getting our agenda up front. And there's many different ways to do that, but we have to be focused on that. And so I'll leave with those two things because I know that we have to continue to have the panel to keep moving.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here, of course. My mayor, Baraka, I'm from Atlantic City, but you heard what I said, right? My mayor, Baraka. And I mean that sincerely, because this brother has went out front and done some things. What I want to say is that I agree with the things that we're talking about here. But I know that when a hand is closed, you can't put nothing in it. Our family has struggled. When we came here, me and my wife were sitting there looking, the sisters got up here and they busted out. I said, well, where's the brothers at? We have some beautiful sisters. And we can't give you enough credit for what you've done. But I want to share something with you, just briefly. Power concedes to nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. We have to stop begging. We have to stop asking. We have to stand up and demand. And if the door is closed, kick it open. That's the only way that people are going to believe that we're serious. You can't say that you're hungry. You haven't eaten in a week. And the food is right there in front of you, and you won't walk up there and grab an orange or something because you're too scared. Several years ago, when they first brought the casinos to Atlantic City, myself and some brothers got together, and they said that they didn't want to include us. So we said, no problem. We said, okay. You got one way to Atlantic City, and we shut it down. The expressway. They showed us pictures of lines stretched all the way back. People that sitting on top of their hoods. And they said, don't you know you can go to jail for this? I said, America's in jail. We can't go nowhere. America's in jail. So when I looked at it, and they said, they got you targeted, Omar. Whatever you do, try not to walk in the street. I said, no, because I want to get them. I'm not going to sit back and act like everything is always okay, but it's not. Many of the religious communities in our areas have stood up and fought. We can't let these fights go. The congregation must stand up and say that if my leader can go out there, I'm behind him. And so what they did with us, when they threatened to lock us up, I said, well, do what you got to do. I said, but I just got one thing to tell you. You have the Miss America pageant coming up, and you ain't seen nothing now. I said, we will shut the Miss America pageant down. I said, we've already brought 100 seats right up front. Oh, and when they start walking, we're going to start singing. That's what they understand. And that's what we have got to understand. We can't keep begging. And I don't mean to get here and to try to rile anybody up, but this brother here, he got locked up. So what more does it show us? If you're going to lock up our leader, you should have got right by and said, okay, well, we hope that y'all got some more room because we're going in too. Our struggle, brothers and sisters, is indeed just that. It's a struggle. And we can't give up. We've come too far. We got to look around, and we know that people are afraid to come out. We right now, our children, our babies, are out there in the street wilding out. That's our fault. I'm listening to mothers who cry out, not my baby, not my baby. And again, I don't want to keep on putting this brother out there, but when he got in, he got the police together and said, look, we're going to get rid of these gangs. We're going to come down on them. We can't keep letting them kill themselves and each other. We got to do something. And as long as we have breath in our bodies, as long as we can stand up, Let us come together. Don't look and say, well, is he Episcopalian? Is he this? Is he Muslim? Look here. When they come for us, they don't ask you that. They don't ask you that. When they come, they bring it. Like I do with ice. They don't ask them questions. They look at what you look like. Brothers and sisters, this is just the beginning. And I want to say this as our agenda. If Mikey Sherrill, whatever she want to be called, if she can't open the door, you see what they just did now about kings, there are no kings? If they can't talk to Mayor Baraka, then we need to show up and say, you got a choice. You have a choice. He's coming to negotiate. That's why between Malcolm and Martin, they always say, look. Bow in the bullet? No. Don't let that brother in. But they have the same agenda. And that's what we got to understand. Give them an alternative. And if they want the alternative, let it rain down on them like mighty waters. Brothers and sisters, I beg you, what we're trying to do now, it takes a team. We can't give up. We're just getting started. And we want action from this governor that we helped to put in there. We want action. No talk. No, up front. Now we want to know what you're going to do. Put it in writing so we can take it back to our communities, and our communities can say, you know what? They got an answer for us. That's what they want. Brothers and sisters, let's get behind this team. And if anybody's not right on the team, they got to be called out. But we got work to do. Our babies, our mothers, our fathers, we owe them. May God bless you. May God bless us. And this show will be a long, but a short one, but a good one.
Good afternoon. Come on, you all. Good afternoon. I appreciate the mayor's question. I love this conversation. So grateful to be in this space with you all. I've just been thinking a lot about the word clarity and how overwhelmed we are with news feeds, and news reels, and developments. If we get honest, they're exhausting to receive, and it's difficult to gain clarity. And as I was listening to the speakers, I was just thinking about what we have experienced in the last year, what the election of this president has meant, how it's ushered us into a period of authoritarianism, how we saw the mayor of the largest city in Newark arrested for doing his job, how a sitting congresswoman is right now defending against shameful, baseless charges. This was just a blip on the media screen, but it's real life for us as black people. And I think if we're not careful, we not only become desensitized to what's happening to us as part of a plan. Authoritarianism, the way it thrives, the way that it spreads is that there's no pushback. So you see attacks on truth, on teaching, on academics, on academia, on the news. And the way it spreads so quickly is that people are distracted and don't have clarity. And so I just want us to think about why we were made. Think about it, like we could have been alive at any point in history or in the future. Like, just think about that. Just ask us as black folks. We could have been alive when we were rulers, kings and queens in the motherland. We could have been alive during the transatlantic slave trades, and we could have been among the millions of those who were thrown overboard or who jumped overboard to get ahead of what awaited us here. We could have been alive as we were arriving on the shores of this state, in Perth Amboy, only to be sold into chattel slavery. We could have been alive during the hundreds of years when we were enslaved. We could have been alive in the future, but for a specific reason. We're in the black church, oh come on, for such a time as this. It feels like you all are asleep. I don't know what it is. We are alive, you all, for such a time as this. And the shame of our lives would be if we were alive, if God purposed us to be alive for such a time as this, and we lack the clarity to understand what it is we're designed to do. I want to say it again, right? What a shame it would be if in the arc of history and the future, God purposed it, one, for us, to the mayor's point, for us to be made as black. You know, I never want to be anything but black. And I know you all too see your blackness as one of the greatest. You were designed, every detail, including what you look like. Whether you have hair at 50, praise God, or not, right? Whether you were tall, however you are, you were designed specifically to be who you are, to fulfill the purpose God made for you, and it's your unique fingerprint. And what's powerful about this agenda is it was collected from hearing from thousands of black folks across New Jersey. And the challenge for us each is to think about, one, what is on this agenda? And what is it that we're passionate about? How do we organize people around us to make these policies a reality? This is a conversation about power. So let me just tell you really quickly what power looks like. And sometimes I think we miss it, particularly when we talk about elections. So just, John Harmon started with this point. Let me just tell you really quickly what the numbers were in the last election. So you know that was an election that Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill won by 14 percentage points. This was a shocker even to her most adamant supporters. They thought it'd be much, much closer. She won by 14%. The election wasn't even close. But here's the thing. She lost the white vote by more than 100,000 votes. You follow that? She wins by 14 percentage points. She loses the white vote by more than 100,000 votes. 52% of white voters, they made up 70% of the electorate, voted for her opponent, whom you know was supported by Donald Trump, the president. So the question is, who delivered the election for Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill? We did. John Harmon made this point. It was 94% of black voters who voted, who ushered her into the office she'll be sworn into in January. She received 68% of Latino voters, 82% of Asian voters. In total, voters of color anchored by black voters delivered her a 500,000 vote advantage. Without those votes, she's not the governor. We did that. We did that. But if we get honest, in closing, if we get honest, what happens too often is that our votes deliver an election that creates a table, Charles. It creates a table. It creates the table. We vote in a way that creates the table that someone else will govern over. And then we look at the table. We look at it longingly. And we wonder, what is our place at the table? How proximate are we to the table we create? And sometimes we get a chair, but we're just on the edge of the table. And we can feel a way about being at the edge because after all, like, aren't there other people who make those decisions on our behalf? And the answer is absolutely not. The story of black folks in this country is we've always built tables. And then we watch people govern over those tables. And what this black agenda says is, listen, you all, the table has been built by your votes. And the truth is that table will have no reflection of you unless you do the ongoing work as black people with clarity to make this state live up to what it was designed to be for us. This is, last thing I'll say, Mayor Baraka, is I brought this is an image, it's a staircase image of the racial disparities in New Jersey. There's something on the table, you just gotta look at it because at the bottom of the table is a small black boy and he's looking up at stairs. And the truth is, for all of us, stairs are like an interesting metaphor for life. A stair is a challenge. But by the numbers in New Jersey, we face some of the worst racial disparities in America. And the only way we surmount those, the only way we address those is if we're really clear, if we have great clarity around the kinds of policies that we'll organize ourselves around and advocate for at the city council level, at the county commission level, at the state legislative level, and at the federal level. So I'm looking forward to unpacking more of those, Mayor Baraka. But thanks for your time.
Yes. I got two questions. I'm gonna put it in one, and you can decide to answer one or the other. But I do want to say, preface, the first part is that a lot of times we allow people to pick our friends for us when we know who we should be with. And that's what's gotten me in trouble over my political career. Because I hang out with whom I please. And one thing that Nelson Mandela said, they had him on that show trying to tell him who he should be with. He said, the mistake that you make is that you assume that your enemies should be mine. That's what he said. Now, that's real to me. So when you're in rooms and other folks act like they don't like people or want people in the space, you ought to say their name anyway. You can't leave and say, I'm with you, but when it was time for you to raise my name, you didn't. And you ain't with me. When you know I'm supposed to be there, we can't get scared of these people. They can't govern who you hang around. I have a right to have a dispute with my family member. You can't exploit that. My mother cussed me out from here to Sunday, but still going to invite me to Thanksgiving. And if you do something, she'd be out the street with a house full of arrested people in front of her. The reality is, our family is our family. We together. You can't let them come in because they got your contract, because they got this, because they got that, because they, oh, he's a little bit too loud. I know he's loud. I'm with the dude every day. I think he's loud too. But he's my friend and loud. Can we get there? So we've been talking about power, and I wanted to, kind of put that in context. But how do we actually ensure representation? Because that's the next step. How do we ensure representation after we voted? How do we ensure representation, not just in transition teams, but representation in government, representation on the bench, representation on the pension boards, representation. You hear what I'm saying? How do we ensure we got an attorney general that doesn't say you want to kill black people, or the state police don't slow down their work, because we just chastise them about doing things that are racist, so they're not going to arrest nobody anymore. Because if you can't allow us to be racist to black people, we're not going to arrest anybody. Right? How do we ensure representation? And in short, what I'm saying is, how do we get real power? That's number one. The other question, you can choose to answer one, please. The other one is, what do we need to do economically in the state of New Jersey, right, to get these people's feet off our neck, economically? So we're talking about political power and economic power. How do we get economic power in this state, number one? And two, how do we get the representation of political power we need, which is the next step from us just having an agenda to talk about.
You get scared now. Well, I'll take the economic question. I have a few suggestions. But the legislative branch in this state is so important to get the policy right. And for now, we have not been aligned on policy. And so there's some best practices that exist. I think New York has done a great job. State of Maryland has done a pretty good job. And the chamber has pulled out some policy that that we will reintroduce to folks. We've done it before. I'm just going to say that. And we were ignored. So today we're moving forward as a family, as Mother Rock would say, so I don't want to be disparaging in any way, but we are willing to sit down with our legislators and go through some policy that we believe will reset the game. So there's either two ways. We can get some executive orders first to get it going, and then get the legislators second. Because we see the president has moved a multitude of executive orders, and New Jersey's governor is one of the most powerful governors in the country. So I heard from this end of the table about clarity and education. We're going to try to educate you along the way. So when I talk about the disparity study, if you just indulge me for a few minutes, I want to break it down a little bit so you understand what I'm talking about. The state of New Jersey did a study over a 5-year period of monies that were spent from your taxpaying dollars. They spent $11 billion on construction, professional services, goods and services. $11 billion, 3.3 million went to black business. That's clear, right? Now I'm going to put that against New York. The city of New York did the same process. They did a disparity study. Then they put legislation in place to make sure that they get the desired outcomes. Under Mayor Adams, in 4 years, he delivered $24 billion to minorities and women, and a significant north of $1 billion went to black business. Okay, I don't have the exact number, but I can share with this group those numbers. I was on his committee, and when we met, the trades, the unionized trades were at the table, and they were in 100% agreement with us going forward with the same strategy in this environment when the strategy is being challenged. We don't have the same cooperation here in New Jersey. The trades drives the agenda in New Jersey. And we have some legislators who, if the trades don't bless them, they're not moving contrary. That's just education. That's something we have to change. 80% of the construction companies in New Jersey are non-union. 20% are union, and they drive the state's agenda. They have a preference on all public contracts. And I'm saying if we gave 95% of our vote, that number has to change. 30% of that $11 billion came from outside of the state of New Jersey. So if we just work with clawing back the 30%, that might be a way of moving us forward so black people get a better place. A couple more things around this, and then I'll move on. One of the laws that was passed in this state over 20 plus years ago was what they call project labor agreements. And when I talk to legislators about that, that's like the Holy Grail. Don't touch that. Everything must be on the table for us. If we can get an economic agenda moving forward, it will mitigate the cost of everything. It will enable us to be able to pay our way for whatever. And right now, the pecking order is Asians are at the top, whites, Hispanics, we're at the bottom. On all economic, every indication, we're on the bottom. So we have to address that first. I'm going to close with this. The project labor agreement, and I may not have this totally right, but I'm going to be close. It was sold under the pretext that you can control the cost of a construction project, you will guarantee that there won't be any work stoppages, and you will move forward. But strategically, that was advanced when the courts ruled on an $8 billion school construction initiative for the 31 added districts, which were largely black and brown communities. The state spent $8 billion and only 50% of the schools got fixed or got upgraded. And then they went back and got another $4 billion of your money. So it's $12 billion, but the suburban schools said in order for us to sign off on that, we have to get our schools done as well. So they also stood up the School Development Authority, prior to which the monies would have been distributed to the local boards of education, who had already did the work. So it's about policy, it's about structure, it's about strategy. So today, as we sit here today, within that project labor agreement arrangement, it said any construction, any public contract up to $5 million, you did not have to have an affiliation with the unions. You could pay prevailing wage up to $5 million. At that time, that was a pretty good opportunity because 93% of black businesses were sole proprietorships. So we're 20 years later, that policy hasn't changed. Federal government, President Obama was at 25 million. Biden was at 35. You follow me? You still with me? President Trump is at 35 million. New Jersey's at 5. We gotta get that number up so that more of our businesses can get public contracts. Last point on this project labor agreement. City of New York, on the JFK project, they had a $400 million project labor agreement. That meant that as a black business, for example, you could have bid up to $400 million and been awarded a contract and paid prevailing wage. You did not have to be a signatory to the unions. And I'm not saying the unions are bad. Well, what I'm saying is it's not an equitable relationship. And if your taxpayer money is funding these projects, why do they have a preference and we have to do a disparity study? That's what I'm saying.
I would just say, just on the political power point, you know, we're at an important point in the life of New Jersey. You all may remember that New Jersey used to have this thing called the county party line. And I have some folks looking at me like, I think I remember. So we were unique. We were the only state in the country that organized its ballots around the county party line. So on election day, you hear someone say, vote line A all the way, vote line B, whatever the letter. And the reason they ask you to do that is because our old ballot was organized by county party chairmen, effectively. About 60% of them are white men. And the county party line essentially organized our ballot according to the preferences of county party chairs. Other states organize their ballots around the office someone is seeking. So if you're running for governor, it's all the candidates for governor. If it's legislature or assembly, senate, right? In New Jersey, the line was organized by the preferences of county party chairs. And so if you didn't get the county party chair's favor, then you were organized on the ballot in what was called ballot Siberia. If you weren't on that preferred line on the ballot, it meant you were absolutely not going to win the election. There was no person in the last 50 years who got the blessing of the county party line who won an election. It just didn't happen, and it was unique to New Jersey. It was a real way that these county party chairs exercised democratic exclusion. And what it would mean for us is that unless you had, for example, a mayor, Raz J. Baraka, who ran for mayor for like 20 years before he won, and he ran that long because he was building the base independent of the apparatus. Unless you had that candidate, then too often the candidates who were running were effectively given to you by the party. It almost made it like the election was beside the point. You follow what I'm saying? Because the election was decided before a single vote was cast, because again, the county party line afforded the parties an advantage that was insurmountable for the voters. And I offer that to you because last year a federal court struck down the county party line as, among other things, discriminatory. And what it means now, what it's beginning to mean now, is that democracy is finally opening up. And you see that reflected across the state with more people inspired to run. And so as I think about, to the mayor's point, what it means to exercise power, what it means is that we need courageous folks up here and there to run for office and not ask for permission, as we've been so inclined over the years to do. Y'all are sleeping. I was like, oh, but what about the permission? Excluding the folks up here, of course. In the world of New Jersey, for too long, democracy has meant a permission orientation. That is, how do I go to the county party folks to see if they support me? It's the opposite of what democracy is. Because in a world where democracy reigns, it's you all who hold the power, and that kind of democracy is now emerging, and there's an opportunity for folks to run for office at all levels: school board, city council, county commission, mayor, state legislature, Congress. We need the next generation of black folks to run for office. In the last year, New Jersey, the city of Newark made history under our now Congresswoman LaMonica McIver's leadership as the city council president and the mayor of Newark's leadership when they lowered the voting age for school board elections to 16. Every city in New Jersey has the authority to do that same thing. And the reason that matters is because you all know for too long, school board elections have been the entry point for folks to get into machine politics. And it becomes not about school systems at all, which is why so many of the school systems are in the condition they're in, because they're so far away from what students really want to see, need to see. Second piece of power is around protecting our right to vote. So I just want to lift up this very concrete thing that I'm urging you to do. Right now, there's a bill in the legislature. It's called the John R. Lewis New Jersey Voting Rights Act bill. The prime sponsor on the Assembly side is Assemblywoman Verlina Reynolds Jackson, and we've had great support from Mayor Matt to push on the Senate side. Our goal is to get New Jersey to pass its own Voting Rights Act in this lame duck session, meaning before the new governor is sworn in, and we are right there. And so if you do nothing else today, when you leave this building, today, go to www.njvranow.org. This is a tool that will identify your legislator in your district, and you can communicate directly with your legislator. Listen, the Federal Voting Rights Act, really quickly, Mayor, the Federal Voting Rights Act was passed 60 years ago. It was passed 60 years ago because about 600 people in a church like us right now assembled in Selma, Alabama, organized around the need to create a Federal Voting Rights Act. And you know the story. They left the church, they marched over the Emmett Pettus Bridge that connects Montgomery to Selma to Montgomery, and there they were brutalized by Alabama state troopers. That evening, this country saw footage of their brutalization, and it led then President Johnson to sign a federal voting rights bill, which led directly to the election of the first black president twice. And since that time, the Supreme Court has been chipping away at the Federal Voting Rights Act. It is poised to fall in this time. They tore the heart out, Section 5. There's another provision, Section 2, which the Supreme Court is considering right now. But we have an opportunity to create our own New Jersey Voting Rights Act as a protection to our voting rights. NJVRanow.org. Please contact your elected. This is very concrete, drawn from the agenda, action that we can take to protect and expand democracy in the Garden State.
So I think we can all agree that the racial wealth gap remains one of the most persistent economic challenges facing people in our community. And you've heard from Dr. John Harmon, who can talk about that in his sleep. But I can tell you that we need to advocate for policies that would lead to fair lending practices by financial institutions. fair lending practices that would allow access to capital by black and minority-owned businesses so that we are able to compete with these other entities that are getting all of these contracts from the state of New Jersey. And if we are not able to access capital, if we're not able to bond to qualify to be awarded the contracts, then we're going to be left out in the cold. In addition to that, in terms of economic empowerment, we have to make sure that we advocate for fair housing policies. We have to advocate for home ownership. And I mentioned how we have to pull people out of generational poverty to generational wealth. So we have to be advocates, beating the drum so that we can have funding come into our local municipalities so that we can have more low housing tax credits to allow for the expansion of building of more housing units so that people can have easy access. But not only that, we have to advocate for policy that will see at the local level incentives that will lead to the construction of townhomes, single-family homes, and two-family homes that will create generational wealth, where the individuals that purchase these two-family homes, these condominiums, are going to be able to start from day one with equity in those homes by us making arrangements with developers so that our people are able to purchase and occupy these homes. And they could be deed restricted for a period of time so that the wealth stays within the family. We have to expand pilots so that there aren't pressures on these new homeowners in terms of property taxes. We have to help these new homeowners for at least 10 years so that they can stay in these homes. So there are a lot of things that we can do at the local and state level that will enhance the economic opportunities for our people. And so it's work that we need to do, but it's doable, and we have to be willing to agitate and advocate for all of these policies that will help members of the black community in terms of the black agenda. Thank you.
I'd just like to add, you know, when we talk about this statewide black agenda and the real power and economic power, the New Jersey Legislative Black Caucus is working with the black agenda. We've been doing this work for a very long time, and I want to thank Assemblywoman Linda Carter for being here, who is a part of the Legislative Black Caucus. I am the incoming chair for the Black Caucus, and we are working to do all of these things. And so when we talk about, I don't want to just leave everything, oh, Mikey's elected. We can't walk away. We have to think about those appointments now. So when we talk about the disparities that we have, I start to think about the schools that I need in my district. I got 2 of them. We need a whole lot more. There's in Patterson, they have 100-year-old schools, and you probably have some here too. Who's going to lead that organization? Who's going to understand the experiences that we have right now and the importance of making sure that we don't just get these onesie-twosies, but what is the 10-year plan to elevate and build new schools? This is a part of the agenda. When we talk about EDA, giving out all this money to build new businesses and infrastructures, who's going to lead that organization? We can't give up and think just because Mikey Sherrill is in that the conversation is over. It's not. The Legislative Black Caucus is interviewing and speaking with all types of candidates. We want to talk to people that are interested in being the commissioner for the Department of Community Affairs, where all housing goes through. We know that we need more housing. We know that we have to hold these communities accountable, especially when they talk about, oh, we don't have the infrastructure to build new housing. I've worked in towns in rural areas that said the same thing team, but they worked with the developer to put in sewer lines so that they could build new housing, so that it could be affordable for your college students or new people entering into the market, not just for your first time home. I'm talking about your retirement home too. There is we need to continue to build. We've stopped building. We've gone through the courts now to talk about why we shouldn't build in certain towns. But we have to continue to push it because we don't want concentrated poverty just in Trenton. We don't want it just in Plainfield. We should be able to work in the towns where we work at. If you work in a town and there's a brand new hospital that just got built, guess what? I might want to live there too. And you should be afforded those opportunities. And that comes along with funding. So whether it's your first time, second time, or your retirement home, we have to continue to push that agenda. So the Legislative Black Caucus is continuing to work. And I just wanted to add that the disparities kind of study came out of the Legislative Black Caucus. We have been pushing for this. We pushed so that we could get the numbers. We already knew under Senator Rice that the numbers was going to be 0.1, 0.01. We knew that already. But the lie that they say is, oh, we need the data, we need the data, we need the data. So it took us another 10 years to get the data, to tell us what we already knew. We already knew that you weren't giving us contracts that we earned. We knew that we weren't a part of the conversations. I've been in rooms where they said, oh, I was a part of the RFP and we didn't have anybody. Really? So why not go back out to bid? Because I know the procurement rules too. And if you don't get enough, you can do it again. You can say, go back, go fish, go back and get some more. What's the advertising like? Where are we advertising to attract people? So we have legislation now that says you must go back out. You have to come to us, meet us where we are. And I'm not just talking construction. I'm talking finance and tech. We have million-dollar companies that are ready to work now that New Jersey refuses to do. So let's not just think we talk about brick and mortar. We talk about high-tech finance too. Capital is there. So let's not just give up on the Mikey Sherrill. Continue to push for diversity in this cabinet, and not just the head, but the divisions and the departments as well.
I actually have a question. I want John Harmon to help me out with this. The Assemblywoman talked about the disparity study. You talked about the disparity study. And I wasn't as involved back then. Well, I'm seeking a point of clarity that I think is important. The reason we needed a disparity study didn't have to do with an attorney general that helped to undo the set-asides. And so help me out with that. I think that's important. And clarify to me who the attorney general was.
So I think,
And I want to make a point if the history is like how I remember.
good. So I'll let the Assemblywoman talk about who was in office. The disparity study is conducted in order to establish goals, right? So you need to know the availability and the utilization before you use those data points to establish what the goals are. 10% for minorities and women, and so on and so forth. So that's why you have to go through that process. And my understanding was New Jersey did not do that process. And this is why they had to do a consent decree, because they did not have that part done properly. And so they had to go through and get a disparity study to reset the policy. I think that's my understanding.
Yeah, I could be wrong on the history, so don't quote me. But I believe there was a time when you could have set-asides.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And there's still a way to do that. New York is currently doing that. And you set what they call aspirational goals. You cannot mandate what the numbers are. So if we say today by executive order that New Jersey will aspire to give 20% of the contracts to minorities and women or blacks or Hispanics, etc., as an aspirational goal, but we cannot say mandate that those numbers have to be delivered on. That's when you run afoul of the current environment.
You know, one of the first Brother Squab, who was the mayor of the city and became the governor, was trying to give contracts to people of color. So he did one of the first disparity studies. They told him not to believe his lying eyes. And so he developed one of the first disparity studies, and folks have been doing that since then. I want to open up a couple of these questions to the audience. So we ain't going to get crazy now. We know that. So, a couple of questions. You can direct them to anybody you want to, but I want to give you a chance to be involved. You have to use your outside voices. You don't have to invite one, two.
That's fine. That's my outside voice. I've heard a lot of things. First of all, thank you all for being here. Heard a lot about the racial wealth gap. And this is not unique to New Jersey. It's a national problem. There's a policy study, my study that was done by I think it's in Washington 7 years ago. That said that us in this room, but all the people in Atlanta, in New York, in California, we're on a path to zero. That's net worth going to zero. That's collective. So what we're seeing in New Jersey is a microcosm of what we see everywhere. Now with this, great agenda on the economic part, what I didn't see is where I practice is where's the financial education? Because whether you're talking about education equity, housing equity, economic equity, financial education is, in my opinion, where it starts. So maybe that's baked into some of these things when you talk about strategies and so forth, but we don't need Michael Sherrill, we don't need anyone to do that. We need community to start that and push that agenda through the churches and through the mayor's office and through the different venues.
Yeah, all of us, in every meeting somebody brings up financial literacy, financial education. I just want to remind people that Rockefeller never went through financial literacy class, or none of those people, neither did Donald Trump. So at the end of the day, the reason we don't have wealth is because of racism and white supremacy, not because we're just not smart. So I don't want to confuse that. I do agree we need to understand the mechanisms of capitalism and financial literacy so we can be able to leverage the money that we do have, because we have one of the largest spending powers in the world. Probably the fifth or sixth most, would be if we were a country, we'd be one of the richest countries in the world. Just the black community, based on how much money we spend. So trying to leverage that spending is important. But I do want us to understand that wealth is created, has been created in this country because of us, right? And we were the wealth at some point. So, everybody didn't own slaves, right? Some of the richest states in the country were in the South, not the North. Today, the northeastern part of the country is the most wealthy part of the country today. Prior to this, places like Mississippi and South Carolina and Georgia were the wealthiest parts of the nation because of slavery. Right? And that's important for us to understand that the wealth was created generation to generation to generation to generation. And none of the people have financial literacy in their school.
Let's take a practical example. Black people, this is practice. When they have a retirement account, they leave their job. What do you think of it?
No, I agree with you. I said I agree with us trying to leverage
They take
all
the money
that.
and spend it.
I get it. I just want us to make sure that we understand the context of what we're talking about. Because a lot of times we confuse our people to make them believe that we're in this condition because we're just not smart. That's just not true. I agree that we need life insurance, right? We don't have it. We need all of these things. We should be talking about it. I'm with you. I just want us to clarify our statements in a larger view.
And can I just...
We got some hands. This is about the end.
I just have one question, because I have not heard this talked about through the entire thing. I have not heard the word training come out of it. You can't assume that everybody in this room knows enough to do what they need to do. If we don't put together training courses, tell us what's out there and how to go after it, how do you make it happen? Training is one of the magic words we have not done. We need to retrain our community to move it forward with the same information that other folks already have given their people.
That's a great question. She said there's been conversations with the governor about this governor-elect, this black agenda, and our people, as their transition team of folks organized to be able to make sure that this stuff, in fact, happens. They were coming to, when we were in the campaign mode, a lot of folks were coming to the meetings, the black agenda meetings, so they know it's happening. And Reverend Boyd said he's giving it to them physically, so they are clearly aware that this thing is going on, and some folks are on our transition team. So hopefully, not hopefully, definitely, this is why I'm going to push it again before we get out of here, that we go to the meetings with our black agenda in hand, so we know and that they know where we come from. Anybody want to address that up there? No? Yes. Go ahead.
Sure. I'd say on the point about financial literacy, responsibility, and to Brother Gore's point about training, yes, I think we could certainly all do better, be more responsible with our finances, less prodigal, save more, spend less, absolutely. I do just want to underscore the mayor's point, because if we're not careful in what we often hear from adversaries and less informed people, is that New Jersey's racial wealth gap is a function of our personal failures. And I'm going to give you what's in my head, so it's in your head, because it's really, really important. When New Jersey was founded as a colony, right, as a colony, New Jersey incentivized slavery. You know, 56% of people in New Jersey don't know slavery happened here, but it did. And it happened this way. As a colony, New Jersey gave 150 acres of land to each white settling family. And it gave those same families an additional 150 acres of land for each enslaved black person they brought with them. Our modern day racial wealth gap, it was conceived of, it was birthed in slavery. And it was perpetuated through a series. We had cottaging in the South, they called it sharecropping. We had restrictive covenants all the way up to redlining. The reason that the median net wealth for white families in New Jersey is $662,000 and it's less than $20,000 for black folks is not because of a system we created. And so we gotta be really careful. We certainly, yes, we gotta do better with our finances, everyone can. But there's no amount of saving or hard work or training, this is very important, that could close that racial wealth gap. The national wealth gap is far less than the New Jersey. It's a fraction of ours, and it would take, at the national level, 228 years for black folks to amass the wealth that white people have today. Now, the reason I give you that is because, really quickly, Mayor Braca, we were in an identical situation when Governor Murphy took office. He was powered into office with 94% of the black vote. And he was aware of how he got elected. There was even some hubris, if he gets honest, about how in a meeting with him, we met to ask him what was his sense of his responsibility to black folks in light of the 94%. He had no plan. And so we assembled like this, he had no plan. And we organized around some core things. One, a $15 minimum wage. Two, there was a push to close youth prisons, reinvest resources. I see Darcella here, we worked with her on that. And the final piece was around restoring voting rights for people on probation and parole. Each of those things happened when the 94% realized their power. And I only say that now because we're in a similar place now with a new incoming governor. So the question for each of us, when you see her or someone on her cabinet or the LG, whoever, the question is, what is your specific plan to close New Jersey's $600,000 racial wealth gap? And they can't fall back on some like workforce training, apprenticeship programs, because I'm not diminishing those. But another, Governor Westmore in Maryland, for example, is talking about a $400 million investment in black communities to increase home ownership. Mikey Sherrill, Governor Mikey Sherrill, from us, your cabinet, what is your specific plan to close New Jersey's staggering $600,000 racial wealth gap? We're talking investment strategies. Last thing I'll say, under Murphy's leadership, we did some powerful things. We passed a bill that prohibited predatory lending practices. We passed a bill that prohibited predatory appraisal practices. We passed a first-time home buyer, first-generation home buyer program. Those are all meaningful. And guess what happened? The racial wealth gap doubled. It went from 300,000 to 600,000 in the last 5 years under a Democratic governor's leadership. And so now we're in this moment of clarity. And the question for us as we hold elected officials accountable, including the incoming governor, is around the racial wealth gap. That's an investment strategy. That is I have a vision for our multi-billion-dollar budget in New Jersey to deeply invest in strategies to connect black people to wealth. And we deserve it because we're 94% of black vote. I'm on the transition team. I'm on the home ownership transition team. And so I'm going to push hard for policies that look a lot like reparations. Because the only way you close the racial wealth gap is by making financial investments in black people so they can be good stewards of the finances we have. But the truth is, we do so much with so little. Even as we could do better with saving and spending, we are among the most generous givers. Even Reverend Roundtree in the black church. If you look on average at black people's giving, generally, including in the church, we outpace even the wealthiest people in this country with less. Imagine what we could do if we're actually connected to wealth in one of the wealthiest states in the country, which is New Jersey.
If I could just add to something to try to seal this question up. Every time we learn the game, there you go. So we already know what to expect. But when they change it, you can't go up there smiling and tap dancing. You can say, look, honestly, sometimes you gotta say, okay, like leave the bag out of the room and say, well, I'm going to the bathroom and I'll be right back. Leave him in there. Let him cuss them out for a little while. And they be so glad that you come back to you, look, take him out of here. Are y'all willing to talk to us now? I mean, we have a tendency that we let them use religion against us. You know why? Because they say, well, just keep praying. Just keep praying. And how long have we been praying? So what is it that's going on? I think that is that's important. That prayer without works is no good. We got work to do. And you can't go to people like this and be nice. You can't be nice. You gotta act like you don't go into no emergency room with blood running out you saying, can I see a doctor? No, When you are hurt, your arm's hanging off, either you're gonna walk into another room or you're gonna do something. We have to get serious, brothers and sisters. We gotta get serious. And we are only going to get answered when we get serious. This is a beginning of us getting serious. It's not about being nice. I know for a fact that if you want change, you got to advocate for change. You got to advocate for it. When we begged them years ago, the Black Panthers started a breakfast program. And what did they do? They co-opted. Everything you do, they co-opted. Because you know why? Because they can't think like you. They don't feel your pain. So therefore, they wait for you to do something, and when it's done, what happens? Well, you think all these marijuana dispensaries popped up by accident? Come on. And where do you find the majority of them at? So I'm saying, what is it going to take to wake us up? brothers and sisters, you know, we got to learn to love each other. We got to learn to be honest. All these young brothers right now that's in jail, they praying. So what are they doing? They're talking, okay, look, we're going to change the law now. We're going to bump them up to be adults. So you're going to put them in jail with an adult who's going to game them, train them, and when they go back into the streets, they're going to go back wiser and smarter, not to do what's right, but to get more money. Just like the way it said, more money, more money, more money. Brothers and sisters, we have to want change. You got to wake up with it in your heart. You got to wake up with it in your mind. You got to believe in yourself. Don't let people keep stepping on you and spitting on you. Tell you what, it's just raining. It's just raining. No, no. But I'll tell you something that I do, and then I'm going to pass it on. You know, I don't try to hide my identity. I love my people. And now people like say, man, like you Muslim, yes. And my wife is, and she dresses that way. If you put your hands on her, I don't even want bail money. Because it will be the last. If we don't protect our women, who's going to protect them? Who's going to protect them? So, brothers and sisters, we got to be real about what we're talking about. We got to get real with this. And these young brothers that's in jail right now, that they're talking about putting into adult prisons, what do you think that's for? What do you think it's for? So we need to get serious about this. We need to have these meetings. The thing that Mayor Baraka and other people are doing, we have to come with agendas to get behind him 1,000%. And then when they have something to say to him, say, okay, he can say, okay, I'll tell you what, go ask them. You know why? Because he might not want to cuss him out. But you got some people around here, brother, that will lay into you, and you won't get a single understanding of the English language out of them, but they will lay you out. So listen, let us stop being divided. Let's stop being divided. We got to do something. Our lives are for our children. They're for our children. You know, when I look around here, all I see is hungry eyes. We have the same agenda. Don't tell me about, well, he's Episcopalian, he's Muslim, he's Catholic. No, look here. When their foot steps on you, do you think that they're asking you what mosque or what church you go to? No, they don't. They step on you, they kick you, they do all that. So let us come together and realize that if we come together, we can have change.
All right, we got like 1,000 hands out here. So I'm gonna tell them, one second, tell the panel, y'all gotta shorten it tremendously because all these people out here got these questions. I can't get to everybody, not get to everybody, but the first few people that raise their hand, I'm gonna try to get to. So I'm gonna let you say something there, but we're gonna have to condense what you're saying if I'm gonna get some of these hands out here because we can't. We don't live in this church. I'm sure they gotta use it. After we get out, we can't be into the next service. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll be very brief. I think one of the things that Ryan mentioned is reparation. And I think that has got to be one of the pillars of the Black agenda. It is extremely important, and we have to all advocate for reparations for our people. And Brother here mentioned something about prayer, and it reminded me of a quote from the late Jomo Kenyatta, the late president of Kenya, who said when the missionaries first came to Africa, we had the land and they had the Bible. That's right. They taught us to pray with our eyes closed, and when we opened our eyes, they had the land and we had the Bible. We had the Bible. I just want to leave you with that.
Right here.
Great, guys. All of you watching.
I just want to say something. You mentioned about people running for office asking for permission from the powers that be to run for office. I'm from Camden, New Jersey, and it's like you were talking about South Jersey, about my area. And a lot of people who are in office and are leaders, if it was time, during the time of slavery, they would be playing that Samuel L. Jackson played. You know, so, no, and that's serious. And so my question is, you know, and I agree with everything that you're saying. We were all together, the elders, we came together. My question is, how can we get the residents to put fire into the local politicians that look like us, that don't understand the black agenda?
This brother all the way in the back had his hand up for everybody. Yeah. Yeah, and no, all the way in the back with the green. Yes.
Thank you for giving me the mic and let me speak. My name is Banner T. Smith from Trenton, New Jersey. I represent Producers One Agriculture Group and Sustainable Solutions, as well as the Black Farmers and Black Growers Collaborative. And I wanted to bring to our attention today that there's some bills that's coming up that we're trying to get passed concerning urban agriculture as well as land. And Senator Turner and Assemblywoman Valina Reynolds Jackson is sponsoring these bills, but we have some pushback from the powers to be because the Caucasians don't want us to have access to resources and land that's going to feed us. See, we can do all we want to do in terms of all policies, housing, prison reform, and all those things, but we got to eat and you got to drink water. And if you don't think you think online, look over what's happening in Israel, how they starving them out. And look what happened with the SNAP program during COVID. If we don't worry about food serenity and feeding ourselves, we got to go ahead and look at these bills. And one of the bills is 4350 by Shirley Turner, and the other bill is by Assemblywoman Valina Jackson, 5627. And call your congresswoman, your senators, and your assembly people, and even the governor's office about the urban ag bill that you want to get to pass during the lame duck season. Thank you.
This brother right here, he was next. Sister, I got you. People have their hand up before you. I got you. We not gonna, I got you. Be patient. You're gonna speak. You still have a question too in the back. You have a question too. You still got one? Yes. Okay. All right.
My name is Norman Dean Muhammad, Chairman of Plainfield Anti-Violence Coalition. My question is open to the panel, members of the transition team. 3 appointments that's very important to people who I talk to on a daily basis is the Colonel, the Superintendent, New Jersey State Police, Matt Clinton's replacement, Attorney General, and the Commissioner for the Department of Corrections. And please address re-entry and the wraparound services for people in our community that's returning to the community. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Go ahead, brother. This one all the way in the back.
I may not need the mic, Chuck Joe, from Plainfield, New Jersey, 3 blocks down the street I grew up. My suggestion is, haven't seen the riots, haven't seen the policemen get killed around Plainfield Avenue, 2 million man marches. The question is, where do we go from here? From running meetings, all I'm saying is like John's point is right on point in terms of project labor agreements. What can we do to expand this? Currently, I'm the chair of the NAACP in our local chapter. I left the Kwanzaa meeting today. How can we expand this? We see Bruce is here in New Brunswick. I'm saying we need to expand this. So my question is, can this be put on Zoom? Because you got a lot of intelligent information there. We have to get other people involved. So the question is, how can you expand this and boil it down to 3 or 4 actionable items that you can do now? That's my question to you.
I'll address that. Yes, ma'am. Right here, in this brother.
Hi, Tamala Robinson, Glen Rock, New Jersey. So I work in healthcare. I spend about a little bit more than 50% of my time doing anesthesia for women at, let's say,
in 2 out of the 3 major birthing centers in New Jersey. And I look at the Black agenda, which is the things that are affecting Black women that are delivering are also affecting white women, Latino women, Asian women. And many of those things are metrics driven. And you have other countries that are delivering metrics that are dealing with pain during cesarean section and how to respond differently and how to, it is kind of a training issue because I spend time training other nurse anesthetists or anesthesiologists on how to better interpret pain or not wait until somebody is telling you that they're in pain, but changing some of those aspects of the way that we think. And so is there a way for us to look at forcing hospitals to look at metrics, whether it's through Joint Commission, whether it's through Department of Health and other ways because all of these hospitals, I work in one of them, I work in a private practice. Another one, I work in the practice is owned by the hospital. Another one is a different private practice. And none of them are incentivized to do studies because it's not bringing the money. Everything is about how much money it's going to bring the department. And the workers only care about their dollars. So I just want to iterate, there's a lot there, but hopefully that point is
John Brinkley. I don't know whether it was an oversight or what, but I didn't see it on the agenda. The idea of the police community review boards, was that an oversight, or is that felt that that's not important, or what? For there to be established police community review.
Before you leave, you're going to have opportunity like before to ask, but I think somebody did say that before. So there's a lot of notes I know we have. Yeah. Who's next? Sister, 1, 2. We had that for a while.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I see on the education equity piece, I want to speak about higher education. I'm curious about what we're looking to do in New Jersey with higher education, with the attacks that are being had, especially with July 1, 2026, the Graduate Plus loan is going to go away. And so we have folks within our community who need to sometimes borrow to pursue higher education. And so the New Jersey Higher Education Student Assistance Authority has not always been kind. It's not always easy to access the funds. So when you talk about scholarships and fellowships, who's getting that? What professions are getting that? What professions we tend to be attracted to? We know there's the attack going on right now to deprofessionalize nursing, social work, so many different professions. And if they do that, if they're successful in doing that, it's going to lower how much funding folks can borrow and get access to, which is going to limit how high folks can go. And we are talking about, we want to uplift people from working class to middle class, but if we're not careful, they're going to downgrade middle class to working class and lower class. And so we need to be thinking about, from a New Jersey standpoint, what are some of the protections that are going to be put in place financially to help people pursue higher goals in education, so once they get in, they can stay in and actually reach their goals and graduate? So I would like to hear about that on the agenda.
We're going to run out in a minute, y'all. So you had your hand up 2 days ago.
In the preamble of the United States, the last lines say, the reason why they're doing this is for themselves and their posterity. And as I look around the room, I don't see our posterity here. How are we going to keep this going or alive without the young people to turn key to? I was a young girl in the Nation of Islam, and we have been talking about a black agenda since I think I joined the nation when I was 17 years old. And we have constantly been talking about a black agenda, and here we are going to be 2026. and we're still talking about the Black agenda. It hasn't become live. And the second question I have is, what is the difference between being on a transition team and actually being appointed to a committee or a commission? So transition's nice. I'd like to see us, so I'm not really celebrating transitions. I want to celebrate when we are actually on commissions and committees actually making decisions. What's the difference?
Go ahead, brother. This brother here, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and then this sister over here. There's a bunch of people had his hand up before you. This brother, and then her over here. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. My name is Zaire Ali. I grew up in Plainfield. I live in North Brunswick now. And a question, this is a federal state issue, but I want to ask about the state level. So there is a Dickey Amendment in late 90s, so 98, about gun violence. We stopped researching, we stopped putting money towards it. But in 2018, it came back. So the Dickey Amendment was lifted, so now we can research gun violence. So I just want to know, in the state of New Jersey, how can we possibly do a little better about that, about researching some of the gun violence issues? Because right now, gun violence is about $500 billion that we spend towards that can be coming back into our communities. And Black folks are the #1 person homicide due to gun violence, and between like the ages of 15 and 45. So I just want to say, like, in the state level, how can we do that? Because, I grew up around the corner, I'm 3rd, and a lot of my friends died over there, people I know impacted, trauma, all that stuff. So just a question about that, how can we handle gun violence in New Jersey?
Hi, my name is Sharice Ifax, and I have a question about how do we make the statewide agenda more local, especially since I have some of my local representation here. Obviously, we've been in power. We've had some level of influence in the city that I reside in, and I haven't seen how these things have impacted us as far as Black people. So I'm curious as to what's going to make it different this time, and how we take it from the statewide level to be on the local level where we are making policies that impact us, but thus far, to my experience has been that they've not impacted us in a positive way. That's the first question. The second one, I also don't see anything about taxes on this agenda. And for homeowners, taxes is, especially for us where we live, are causing our people to lose homes. So if we're not addressing tax issues, that's also an opportunity, I believe, to help us with our wealth.
All right, we got a couple more, and I'm gonna let these folks answer these questions. We're already running out of here, so 1 and 2, let's go.
I'm from Trenton, New Jersey, and my biggest concern is that we hear a lot of talk about an agenda, Black agenda, what we're going to be doing, but what we haven't said anything about everybody being a part of or receiving what Black agenda is about. I heard things that might benefit a few people, but I want to let us focus on inclusion of all people. I mean, I'm talking about people that are not so educated, people that are at the bottom. We need to do something to lift them up so that they can be prosperous, so that they can receive what is necessary to have the fullness of life. And that's what our agenda should be focusing on. And I haven't heard that. What I heard is that some people are going to participate because they're a part of government, they're a part of that. But we got to reach down there and get those that are not in that position. And everybody be part of the community. We got to build a community. You got to have a foundation in order to succeed. I understand what you're saying.
You got to read it, because if you read it, you wouldn't make those comments. So, this brother here, you got to read it. You got to actually read it before we get out of here. You got to read this thing before we start talking about it and disseminating. We actually, folks, put our glasses on. I got to put my glasses on because I can't see it right now. But we got to actually read this thing. We got to read it.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening. I am Reverend Ronald Tuff, Second Vice Chair of New Jersey Black Issues Convention. And one of the issues that we've been talking about today is unification. Well, I'm going to put on the table without addressing your issues. Obviously, to the community. I understand, but. Right. There you go. You got it. And then the second thing is also, we also have a petition for the Superfund bill to make the oil companies pay for the damage that they've done to our community, and they get funds that will be turned back into our community to support some of the goals and projects that we're talking about today. So I'm putting that on the table through the convention.
I think it's a good deal. He's the last person right here, this guy with the suit on, and then we're gonna wrap it up. We have some instructions. Don't leave before you get the instructions. We like to talk. The instructions is the part we get confused about.
How's everybody doing? My name is Kyle Little. And one thing, I don't have a question, I have more of a comment. One thing that was on this agenda that hasn't been touched upon is protection for the Black LGBTQIA community. And
did you read this thing? Because there's a whole segment on LGBTQIA.
I read it, but we didn't discuss it.
No, should be up there. Down there, protection for Black LGBTQIA plus community. It's right there.
All right, so can I make my comment?
Yeah, you can make a comment, but make sure you read the thing before you leave out.
All right, I got you. So, coming from a personal standpoint, I am an openly gay man, and I'm not embarrassed to come into this church and tell you that. And if we have a Black agenda, we really need to make sure that all Black people are protected. And we had one-fifth, I'm not trying to turn on Black men or anything like that, but 1/5 of Black men actually voted for the white supremacist that's in the White House right now. A lot of their main issue for voting for him was because they felt like, oh, the Democratic Party tried to turn the Black man homosexual and things like that. So we have to, and when we do that, we actually kick ourselves in the back, because now what do we have? We have over 300,000 Black women that are unemployed now. We have congresswomen like LaMonica McGriver, who's brought up on charges for being out there and protecting our people during ICE raids out there in your city. So we have to make sure that we always are voting in our best interest, and because people like me, who are doubly marginalized, my ancestors went through the same thing that everybody else is in this room did. And it's nobody's business who's in someone else's bedroom. So we have to make sure that Black people are protected, whether gay, straight, bisexual, whatever the case is, okay?
So two things. One is something. Two, I want to say, I agree with you, but I don't want you to say that Black men are responsible.
Oh, no.
Because Black men voted for Kamala Harris.
Absolutely.
We all been scapegoated for that. People that didn't vote for Kamala Harris ain't in this room. So it's got to be clear, that's all.
Absolutely, and I'm a numbers man too. I know over 80% of Black men did vote for Kamala Harris. We were the second largest group to vote for Kamala Harris after Black women. But my point is, though, we have to have more education to those people who are lost in the sauce, and really, get them to vote what's in our best interest. Because definitely, we didn't have our best interest. Those people who did actually vote on the other side. So the people that are in this room, I'm challenging those people to just educate our other people.
Y'all want to close out before we please?
I just want to jump in. First of all, I just want to say, because we're not going to be able to go through every last thing someone said, because we have to definitely get out of here. I know I do. But I want to first thank everybody for coming out today. These conversations, even though if you don't get a chance to say what you need to say, this is ongoing. We can't unpack it in just a 2-hour, 3-hour meeting. So we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting, continue to have conversations with you. I think everyone who wanted to bring up a point of what they want to see on the agenda or want to have more collaboration on or expand more on note-taking. We have people here, staff here, who is taking notes, who will make sure that we will continue to address the things that you brought up. I think for me, 2 points I want to bring up. One is the question that you had. We have to stop thinking that our civic engagement is only in the voting booth. It's not. Like, your civic engagement doesn't start and end there. You have to continue to hold the people that you elect accountable. And there are different ways to do that. One, you should be calling them, expressing your, what you like, what you don't like. I always say, just don't call me about the things you don't like. Call me about the things you like too. You have to do that. You have to show up to their office. You have to be involved. You got to show up sometimes to the meetings, to the council meetings, to the state house sometimes. You have to do that. You have to stop voting for punks. I want to say that because that's the truth. Ryan talked a lot about the line and the machine and all of that, and the people that ask for permission to run. And look, I'm not saying anything bad about those people, because some people that ask for permission to run, you like them. You vote for them. But the problem is you want them to have your interests and your values and your mission at the top of their priority. I really don't care if they ask for permission, but it's when you get there, what are you doing for me and my family and my community? And we have got to hold those people that look like us, that might not look like us, but we voted for them. We have to hold them accountable. And when they don't do what we want them to do, we have to strategically, that's why I started with that, and I'm going to end with that. We have to strategically get rid of them. Yes. I want to make it plain, because the power is still with you. These people are not appointed. You vote them in. And if you do not like what they are doing, rather it's on the city council, rather it's at the school board, rather it's at the state house, rather it's in the federal government, you have to get rid of them. It is possible. We think it's not possible, but it is. We see it happen all the time, and you have to exercise your right, exercise your power to do so. We cannot continue to complain. You have to move people out. And we have seen it happen. And so we got to do it. It's just that plain and it's that simple. Stop thinking that you just go vote and that's it. I think also too, a lot of these committees, a lot of these commissions, all of these cabinet positions coming up, we want to see people in those seats that represent our interests. And if they don't, we have to take a note, and we have to say, when 4 years come back around, this is what you did not do.
That's right.
And this is why we might not be able to support you, because you did not do these things. And it is just simple. We have to stop making this thing bigger than what it really is. If people are not doing what we want them to do for us, then we have got to get rid of them. Thank you.
I would just say really quickly, marrying the point about the agenda, appreciated the sister who talked about being in front of the nation and the agenda talked in. But if you think about previous generation helped to transform America, Voting Rights Act, Fair Housing Act, Civil Rights Act, changed this country. And if we get honest, right, we reaped a harvest from that. We've become very comfortable in that harvest that we reaped. And we're now being pushed out of that harvest now. And the question for us now is, what will we be planting for future generations? So the truth is, like, we've done our level best through 4 previous conversations like these to compile an agenda. And it's long because we're not a monolithic folks, and each of us have passions, some of which are on this, some of them aren't. But this is designed to empower you all with an affirmative agenda, so that when you're seeking an audience with your tired city council member, school board member, county, and Camden, machine pilot, the line fell there, I think that opens up real opportunities for people to run by not asking for permission. but that you have 5 or 7 things you can say that you've organized yourself around, some folks very locally at the beginning. These are our core issues in front of the city council, school board. We want to see you stop only doing constituent services at city council. Appreciate the turkey, appreciate fried chicken, appreciate you coming to my birthday party, appreciate you coming to the graduation, but how are you legislators? Right? And part of why city council members are 95% constituent services is because, to the congressman's point, we've allowed them to be that. And so I don't want us to leave this space without us each in our minds having 5 to 7 policies drawn from this agenda or not on the agenda that we're organizing ourselves around to champion, to hold folks accountable. And finally, last thing, Mayor, the racial wealth gap piece. From this governor and her team, if in 4 years the racial wealth gap has doubled again, and there's been no investment in our communities, we gotta own that. Because it will mean that we did not wield the real power of the 94% to unleash holy hands on these folks in office.
That's still the case. You gotta make some hard decisions, brother. Yeah, we tired of arguing with people. I don't argue with my family members and my wife. I argue with my That's it. At this point, you didn't do it, I'm out. Yeah. Isn't that right? At this point, I got to, my wife and I have a disagreement. We're going to sit down and argue about it because we love each other. We're going to keep this. We don't have to keep that. We got to keep it. We just leave. They go to the door, I'm out. That's basically what I'm making. Go ahead. Y'all got some last parting words or want to respond to these people?
I'll say, first of all, thank you for all the questions. And I wrote down a lot of the questions that were asked. But we have an action plan. We have the blueprint here. This lame duck where the session we're in right now, these are our priorities. This is what we must get done. You can look at these bills and see who signed on. I've received I support this, but I don't need to be on it. And I said, I think that's a lie. So at the end of the day, we have to know the rules. We need 41 in the Assembly, and we need 21 in the Senate to get a bill passed. Don't call the people that's on the bill. Don't waste your time. But we need your support. We've been working on the John Lewis bill for 3 years. 3 years. 3 years. 94%. We just had another meeting on Monday trying to, I'm holding firm because I think we've done all that we need to do in this bill. I'm not willing to bend or yield to any more changes. It is what it is right now. So the pressure now becomes to have it heard in the committee so we can vote it out. That means you have to talk to the leadership. So don't call my office. You call Speaker Craig Coughlin, you send them emails, or you send it to President Nicholas Scutari. That's who gets a shut. So as we move forward with our action plan, what we need to do over the next 3 weeks is right here for us. And the John Lewis bill is my #1 priority. If I don't get this done, then nothing else gets done for me. So I can't do it by myself. I need everybody in this room to call somebody to call somebody. Call 10 people and tell them to call 10 more. Send an email. Send an email and flood them to let them know this is our priority. Because the dismantling that's happening at the federal level is trying, and it is coming here to New Jersey. We're fighting back, but I need more people to fight with me. So let's get this done. This is the action plan that we have for this next 13 weeks.
From my standpoint, a couple action items. I'm going to give you a couple action items. A lot of you are very social media heavy. So just post, you'd like to see an executive order addressing the disparity study. That's clear. New Jersey is current auto insurance policy, which requires education, occupation, and credit scores to determine your auto insurance premiums. We want auto insurance reform. The current system should be abolished. So that's 2 action items that you can do. Also, you want to advocate for more funding for not-for-profit organizations, right? You want to push that. And then the last thing, we should be attending school board meetings, city council meetings, and county commissioner meetings. Why? Because at every meeting, there's contracts being funded. There's so much money that's being spent in your communities, and you have no idea. If 20 of you show up at a school board meeting, that will scare the bejesus out of them, right? You don't have to say anything. They'd just be like, why are they here? If you do that with some intentionality, you will see some change. And from the African American Chamber of Commerce perspective, we're going to continue to advocate, educate, to drive a more equitable agenda for Black people in New Jersey. Thank you.
And I will close by saying that elected officials at all levels of government play a critical role in advancing policies that protect access, reduce disparities, and invest in historically marginalized communities. Legislative action, budget priorities, and oversight decisions that center equity and community impact are essential to achieving measurable and sustainable outcomes. And so, as far as the governor is concerned in particular, who received 94% of our votes, we have to make sure that her budget priorities reflect the interests of those 94% of our people who went to the polls to ensure that she was elected to that office. And so we have to keep the pressure on. We must not take our feet off the gas so that we hold those to whom much is given accountable, because much is expected. I'll leave you with that. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. May God bless you. Happy holidays.
Give it up for this fantastic panel. And we give it up to Mayor Baraka. And we give it up to Shiloh for hosting us. And Pastor Daniel Brown. And can you give it up for yourselves? As we close, just a few parting instructions. The panelists said it well, but please read the agenda. We are currently in what's called the lame duck session, which is between when one administration is ending and when another is starting, which means there's a whole lot of stuff that can happen now that a lot of times likely won't happen later. So please read, like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is part of that. There's issues around police accountability in terms of incarcerated elders. The fastest growing population in New Jersey's prisons are people over 60 years old who've been in prison because New Jersey, even though it abolished the death penalty, actually kept the death penalty in place because they won't let you out. They'll let you die in prison. So they don't kill you with the needle, they kill you with the time. And so, let's look at those things, jury selection, but there's also bills that we need to stop because there's wickedness that tries to take place in the lame duck session. Many of you may not know, but there was a move afoot to destroy the independent comptroller department.
Yeah.
There's also a move afoot to bring the state police as an independent agency and from under the oversight of the Attorney General. And we need to make sure Salvation and Social Justice sent a letter to the Black Caucus and to because of racial profiling. All right, anybody remember that? And they still operating as racist today as they were when they was under the consent decree. So there's things we have to stop. It is not enough for us. And the youth waiver bills, it was brought up earlier, they're trying to put young people, Iman brought it up, they're trying to waive young people up into adult prisons. And listen, sisters and brothers, Mikey Sherrill is not the only one that y'all voted in. Y'all voted the Assembly Democrats in with a supermajority. And some of the Assembly Democrats, y'all better look at this, are sponsors of these harmful bills. It ain't just the government you gotta keep accountable. All right? I'm just keeping it real. So I'm just saying, listen, we are organizing meetings with the governor-elect and their team to keep this agenda in front of them. We have to keep these items, like the mayor said, read the agenda. There are also items in terms of budget that we're pushing for, like the mayor said, please read the agenda. And just because someone is black don't mean that they're pushing a black agenda. So if they're on, we can't just look for faces. We have to look for people who are going to move the agenda. Okay? The purpose of this agenda, y'all, is policy, not internal black community work. So in terms of educating our people and things, let's do that through the churches, through the NAACP. You do that work locally. This is about putting it in front of politicians. Okay? Just so we're clear. So you're not going to see everything we need to do in our communities on this agenda. This is how we need to advocate to the power structure. The internal work we need to do. And you want to talk about what to do locally, do that. Let's take care of our houses. Teach financial education to your children. Bring forth those ministries in your churches and your mosques. Okay? All right. Also, in terms of how to do this locally, put this in front of your council people. Say, I want a city version of this. Yes. And hold them accountable. Say, I want you to do this on the city level and the county level. And then now you have something you can give to them and say, and hold them accountable to it. Okay? That's how you do it on a local level. Here's the other thing. Put it in front of your council people and say, we want a resolution that says y'all support the statewide black agenda. Okay? Sisters and brothers, lastly, our part of instructions and challenge. The whole black community is the think tank. Salvation and Social Justice does what we do. Mayor Baraka does what Mayor Baraka does. The Institute does what the Institute does. We are setting this up in such a way so you all are the think tank. Don't blame us if your stuff ain't moving. Don't get mad if your stuff is not on the agenda. If something's not there, it's for one or two reasons. One, because you ain't show up to none of the meetings to bring it up. Or you sat there and ain't say nothing. This is the fifth one, right? Or you haven't thought about it thoroughly enough to make it in a way that it can be made into policy, so we don't know what to do with it. Okay? I just want us to be real, because we get these meetings and sometimes we like to preach, but we're not a pastor. So we have a portal on Salvation and Social Justice website, sandsj.org, When you go on the statewide policy agenda and go to the bottom, you will see a submit button. And it will take you through a series of questions to make sure you've thought about the policy that you are putting forward. Because we can't do all the work. So we need you to do some research, use y'all ChatGPT, flesh it out, think about it, get it tight, and then submit it. Okay? Because if we have to do a lot of work with it, then it's going to take a lot of time, and you're not going to see it. Okay? So I just want us to be clear. So please, push your locals, push your local council people. Each of you have 2 assembly people and 1 senator. Push them on these, ask them, like Brother Hager said, what are you doing? Yes. Right? Make your local version, submit your issues to the agenda. Submit it, submit it, submit it. Now may God bless you. May God keep you. May God make you more prosperous in everything you do, both now and forevermore, until we meet again. And let the whole black community say amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Shiloh, for hosting us. God bless y'all. Good night.
Zachariah Jackson, BASA News, as we end the New Jersey statewide Black Agenda press conference. Again, this is Zachariah Jackson, BASA News, at Shiloh Baptist Church in Plainfield, New Jersey. God bless you.